We are live. I'm going to go ahead and take myself out so that you guys can talk. And then,
Awesome.
I'll run the Chiron stuff.
Cool. The ticker. I don't have the professional word. What's up, guys? Shawn Bowen, Full Circle Investment Group, Wholesaling out of the box.com. Want to jump in here with you guys for a little bit. Again, try to be consistent with getting in here, going live, allowing you guys to come on with us, interact with you, ask questions. But also bring in Cam. Cameron Peters works with us at Full Circle Investment Group. He's one of our acquisitions guys and has been with us for a little bit now and closed a few deals. And I wanted him to come in and just speak to you guys about what it's like in this COVID world of virus and what I hear in the industry is like no deals are happening and sellers aren't selling and nobody wants to go on appointments or let you come to their house. And I want to talk about that, right? For somebody that I don't work on the day-to-day operation stuff as much anymore, but somebody that does, right? And I wanted you guys to kind of have that talk and see what it sounds like and just have a moment of conversations with Cam. There it is. I like it. So anyway, Cam, talk to these guys about what's going on. And guys, while we're doing this, you guys can jump in, ask questions. Ashley will post over here for you a link that you can join us. And wherever you're at watching this, doesn't matter. Post your questions, and we're going to try to answer them. We're going to keep this up. It's about 10:45-ish, so we'll keep this up until about maybe 11:15, and try to get as many questions with you guys as we can. Try to help you guys answer stuff you have, and specifically to acquisition. So what we got going on over there, Cam? How things been over there, and what's it look like?
Hey, guys. Morning. It's going pretty good. A little bit of adjustments. I would say on average for every 10 phone calls I make that are actually developing into a lead, maybe one, maybe two people are going to bring up something about the COVID, something about seeing the house. It's not as common as I thought it would be. Honestly, I thought there would be a lot more of, whoa, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. For instance, yesterday, talking to somebody about a land deal, about a lot, right? And they're saying, well, we really need to wait until this is over to, I don't know, clear title, and using kind of general words about a real estate close. And I'm like, no, we really don't. We can do everything virtually with courthouse. We're doing it right now. And then, of course, you have some showing objections, right? If you want to go, hey, when can I come check out the house? Well, I don't know with this COVID thing. I got a young kid. I got, and so for me, the conversation is always, hey, I totally get it. I'm concerned about my family as well, right? So how is there a way that we both can be comfortable, right? And still go see the house. So I went to appointments where the owner met me outside. We stood 6 feet apart. We talked. We had a good conversation. He had all the doors open already, and he said, "Go ahead and have a look. I'll be right out here. Holler if you got questions." And I circled back around with him in the yard, and we talked and made an offer on the spot. And so, I mean, that's some ways to get around that for sure. And I've had really good responses with that. There has been one or two people where they're like, absolutely not. Call me when the world is right again. That's what somebody said to me a couple of days ago. And I had to laugh. I was like, yeah, it's messed up right now. I get it, man. So not as many objections as I thought, honestly. Some people, but again, like maybe 1 out of 10 are like, I can't believe you're trying to buy houses during this. Are you watching the news? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, a lot of negative stuff on the news, so not as much as the next person, but yeah, we're still out here doing business. Just honestly got a contract this week, so got another appointment on Monday. Yeah, so still grinding.
So basically, the pushback with what maybe the media world's talking about, or even some Facebook posts, is like that's not what we're seeing or feeling, right? That's not what you're seeing when you're doing things, making calls. Like you don't feel or see that as much.
No, not at all. Especially not on the calls. I still talk to just as many people every single day. So,
how about the motivation level? Do you feel as though you're seeing anything where guys are maybe dropping their price a little bit lower because they're uncertain with the market? Do you feel like any of that shifted at all?
I do. And I've had some conversations with sellers where they're like, I'm not sure this is the right time to sell. And I'm like, let's talk about that. I mean, why don't you think? I'm curious. I'd like to hear your opinion, right? And let them talk. And some of them are thinking, for whatever reason, that the market's going to go up. And I'm like, I wouldn't generally. I mean, I'm not a forecaster, right? But I think this is a pretty good time. Prices are pretty stable right now. Sales are pretty stable. And just talking, even with real estate agents and anybody in real estate, the market seems to be pretty active. Nobody's saying it's slowed down, at least in Hampton Roads. So always having those conversations. And I do believe I'm working toward an appointment with that one person that was like, I don't think it's the right time to sell. She's still not ready yet, but she put up a brick wall and kind of weaseled around it. But I still got to tear it down. It's still there a little bit.
Nice. So it doesn't seem as though the world of the COVID is really affecting too much in real estate as far as the negative. If anything, it's more of a positive.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if I would go to say it's a positive.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a negative. I haven't seen any. I did have a few conversations with sellers where they're like, man, I need to get rid of this house. Da, 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 da. So I thought the motivation was COVID driven, but still those appointments haven't played themselves out. They've been ghosting me, as we say, right? Not answering the phone on callback. Yeah. That's okay. I'll keep calling until you answer or until you come to my house and tell me to stop. One of the two.
Cool. So that's a point to hit on too right there is I feel like a lot of people always ask in this industry, either they're getting into it or they're already into it, is how do you get over these hurdles? How do you talk to these guys about what you see or what you've used and learned with negotiation tactics or abilities of when the wall goes up, right? And now it's well, you called me and you tell me what you want to give me for my property. Like, how do you get around that? Talk to these guys about how you do that and kind of give them an idea of that. Okay.
So you called me, give me an offer. Okay. Well, I'd be happy to do that. Honestly, I need to know a little bit about, how fast you're looking to sell, what you're looking to get, and, the condition of the property. I mean, I'm looking to fix it up. So, can we talk about that a little bit? I mean, does that make sense? Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. That makes sense, I guess. Or maybe like, well, I don't know. You've already seen the property. No, actually I haven't. Actually, we send out marketing to thousands of people a month. Literally, I'm not making this up. So I probably 99% have not seen your house. There is a small chance that I did drive by it, but not off the top of my head. That's some of the objections with some of those things. Anything else?
Okay, so overcoming objections that way. Let's play one out where now you got to get to a price, right? Like you guys have talked about the property a little bit. You kind of have an understanding of like we do a virtual walkthrough, right? Now you have to be able to come to him and he's set a number, right? Like that he or she has said like, I got to get 70 grand for this house and your Mayo is at 50. Let's start talking about how that looks and what you do to try to get closer to that number. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, 70. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I can see how first, I guess if the number just came out of thin air, I'm always going to ask, where'd you get that from? Right. Cool. So 70. Okay. Well, I mean, where'd you get that from? Just kind of curious where you pulled that number from. And it's usually tax assessment or my neighbor's house sold for. Those are the two primaries, I would say. And if it's the neighbor's house sold for, okay, well, can you tell me a little bit about their house? I mean, is it the same square footage, bed, bath? I mean, have you been to your neighbor's house? Oh yeah, I drink beer with Joe. I've been there. Okay. So is it similar? Well, I don't know. Joe has this really open concept, whatever it be, and then put a distance between their house and the house that they're trying to compare it to. If it was the other option where it's a tax assessment, well, then that's, I got to be honest with you. I know that's what the city values it for taxes, but they also use that number to get their revenue. I mean, to get their money. So in the end, I mean, the city's not really buying your house. So I hate to say it, but that number doesn't mean anything to me. So, and they're like, well, yeah, okay, well, and they stop talking about that. That always shuts that down. And then, of course, as we move through that, so now I've hopefully obliterated their thought of their 70,000. It's always back to the, so let me ask you this: if I could pay you all cash, close in as little as 14 days. And see, I'm screwing it up here because we're live.
So we call that the $10,000 question, right? That's the
10 times a day, and I screwed it up.
Yeah, that's the go-to. So how does it sound again?
Okay, so let me ask you this. If I could pay you all cash, pay all your closing costs, and close in as little as 14 days, what's the least amount you would accept for the property?
There it is.
And then just shut up. Let them talk.
Why are you shutting up?
Because the next person that says anything is going to be the person that gives a number, gives a reason why, explains it away. So usually that's the point where I have a drink of water and just sit there. Because they're usually like, it's usually, I didn't really expect you to ask me that. I don't know, the least? I haven't really thought of that. You know, that's the normal response. Sometimes it's the, oh, I don't know, man. I gave you my number. You know, sometimes there's still that brick wall. But 95% of the time, that's going to break it down, and they're going to give you something, and it's going to be lower, and they're going to explain why.
That's it. That's been a game changer. Do you feel like that's real? Like that's helped you get reductions on houses by asking that question?
Yeah, all the way from $10,000 to $100,000 reduction.
That's insane.
That's real shit. No bullshit. Yep, $100,000 reduction. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're here live or if you're watching the replay, type in some questions here, and that way we can also respond to you later if you're watching this and you had something that came up and we can try to help you with. And again, Ashley will post over there where you can, join us here if you want and go live and ask some questions. But really just digging into the acquisition side of things and what that looks like and feels like and talking to sellers, right? One thing that we talk about a lot, even with our company and other people that work with us, is we talk about where there's driving for dollars. But what about appointment for practice, right? What about going on an appointment that you're new at it and you're trying to get outside of that uncomfortable space of walking into somebody's home, you have no clue who they are, and you have no idea of condition of their home, right? Because you don't know how to do that ahead of time. What's it like just to show up at somebody's house and be like, go? Awkward as hell, right? Because you don't know what you're walking into. If somebody tells you and they call you and they say, hey, just come look at my house, then you can make me an offer. And you get out to the home, you haven't done any pre-walkthroughs, like a virtual walkthrough. You haven't done anything to try to vet the seller if they even need to sell or have to sell or want to sell, right? Those are three major words, by the way. And then you didn't do any pre-qualifications and you just go, right? So you show up at John's house and John's house looks immaculate. John's house is awesome. And John wants to sell because he wants to move to Florida, right? So by the time you got to all that was only because you didn't know what to do in the beginning. What's that feel like? What's it like? Now getting there and talking and walking through the home, maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes into the meeting, you have completely wasted your time. Or you haven't. You can look at it in a twofold where you're learning versus just sitting at home. And like everybody does it, right? YouTube University gets on there, figures out what to do. Everybody talks about marketing. Everybody talks about rehabbing, right? And everybody talks about selling the deal. But nobody harps or trains or without big ticket dollars attached to it, talks about what it's like to talk to sellers. And if you can't talk to a seller, none of that other shit matters. It doesn't matter if you can get the marketing out. It doesn't matter if you can find buyers. If you can't negotiate a deal, you can't do anything, right? None of that ever comes into play. So appointment for practice. Think about that from now on when you're doing your driving for dollars. What if you got out of the car, walked up to the house that looks like shit, and knocked on the door, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody answers, maybe somebody doesn't. What if you go next door and knock on the door, right? And say, hey, I'm interested in buying that house. You happen to know anything about it? Maybe know the owners or family or what's going on? Guys, you would be really impressed when you see what it's like to go from neighbor to neighbor on I call it a diamond situation, right? The house go to the left, go to the right, go across the street to the left, go to the street across to the right. And ask. You never know unless you ask, right? So this is a major piece for people that are trying to get into this industry and want to get into the business, and maybe they just got to get out of their comfort zone, right? And that's another one we always talk about is like get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you're an introverted person, this is not going to be something you want to do. Walking up to somebody's house randomly is probably the most fearful thing you'd ever want to do. I am an extrovert. I have no problem jumping on here, talking to you or talking to people or going anywhere and talking to anybody. That's just what I enjoy, right? But for somebody that's not like that, what does that feel like, right? So if you have to do that, get comfortable doing it. So appointment for practice is going to help you get, maybe you waste some gas doing it, but does it allow you to get uncomfortable enough to where you can do it on the phone now? If you're not comfortable, let me switch it around. If you're not uncomfortable offering somebody 50% of their number, if you're uncomfortable doing that to start with, you have to get away from that. And that's one of the most major things you're going to have to learn, or hopefully you do learn, in order to do this industry, right? Just because somebody asked for $100,000 doesn't mean it's worth $100,000. And knowing your numbers of how to reverse engineer that, come to your Mayo and all that is a huge, huge issue. Do you agree, Cam?
Yeah, absolutely. And these are two things that I've done, right? The appointment for practice, that's how I started out. Before I ever went on the first deal that I actually locked up, wasn't tracking it then, so I can't tell you a number, but multiple properties, right? Where I just went and I didn't know. I thought there was some motivation. At the end of the day, I still got comfortable talking to sellers about, the age of the roof, the condition of the property, foundation issues, and just talking to them about their story and why they were moving, why they were selling, and get comfortable with that. The other thing was I've been driving through a neighborhood, and usually people who are walking their dogs, that's also a good source. If you're driving slow, people are always looking at you like they don't recognize you. You know what I mean? Most neighborhoods, you kind of know the vehicles around. And I'll roll down the window and just say, hey, good morning. If I see a property that driving for dollars that I'm interested in, right? And I'll say, hey, good morning, just looking for a house, honestly. This house right here, you haven't know anything about that, and I've had multiple people respond to me. Actually, I had like a 45-minute conversation with the older gentleman one day because he was like, oh, yeah, that's Susan's house. Fortunately, she just passed away, and I'm like, oh, probate is what I'm thinking, talking about it. My daughter's in the back. He's talking to my daughter, right? And he's like, but actually his son just sold it to somebody and they already went in there to start demo and da-da-da. You couldn't tell any of that from the outside. I was going to try to skip that and mail that property, a wasted effort, right?
Yep.
Instead, I had a conversation with a gentleman and save money and time.
That's awesome.
So you got to I'm not comfortable just rolling down the window and talking to somebody. I mean, I am now, but I wasn't then. But, this get comfortable. Yeah, people have been telling me that for years. So I'm like, fuck it. Roll down the window. Let's do it. And it went fine. You know what I mean? I ended up having an Air Force hat on. The guy was a vet. So we had a really good conversation about military stuff, which of course is a good bonding, if you happen to be military. But I've done that with other people as well. And sometimes people are kind of turned off by it, but usually they're not just going to be like, I'm not going to answer your questions and just walk away. That doesn't happen. It's I don't really know. I'm sorry. I wish I could help. People want to help people, so.
Cool. Guys, you're hearing it. This is somebody that's gotten into the business and done deals and been uncomfortable and gotten more comfortable with doing what he's doing, right? So this is something where you guys hopefully give us some questions here. I think we got 5 people on here. They're checking us out. Whoever's on here, can you have any questions or anything that you might want to ask Cam about as far as like acquisitions goes? That's kind of what we're focusing on today, and we try to stay on that if we can. But hey, if you guys want to talk about some other stuff, we're going to be here for another 10 minutes. So try to help you guys. This is good though. I'm digging this. I like this platform. I'm hoping we can get some more people to engage with us and ask some questions. And then even for guys that are watching the replay here, use this as a point of learning, right? Take this information and do something with it. Take this video and use it, right? Try the $10,000 question and don't freelance it. Do it exactly, because if you do, it messes it up. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Try to get, the appointment for practice. What if you go driving for dollars and you get 25, 30 leads, right? And guys, I would highly recommend, like, you guys are fortunate enough now. I make myself sound so old when I say this. I'm not that old, but like 10 years ago, I didn't have an app where I could save a button and then it saved the information of the owner, their tax billing address, and like 2 or 3 phone numbers. Spring chicken. So that to me is like, you guys have a benefit there, right? You guys have the ability of making it easier for yourself to gather the information and not only just call right there, but like immediately start getting the phone to ring. Right now, it's actually taking the time to get on the phone and do it. This is another point of confusion or problems I hear with guys and people in general that want to do the business. They all say the same thing. Shawn, I want to do it. I want to get in. I'm pumped, ready to go. And then it's time to be on the phone, right? And it's all like, how many calls did you make this week? Or how many leads did you go get this week? Ah, man, life happened. It got in the way. I couldn't do it. Okay, that's life. It happens, right? But you can only make that excuse so many times before you don't do anything. And then now you're in this analysis of paralysis, right? Or paralysis of analysis, whatever. And you get stuck not doing anything and you get no results, right? So this is where you can set little goals of acquisitions, right? Hey, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get 25 houses leads today. Of that, I'm going to call those 25 people. And now we start getting into KPIs, guys. If you always hear me or listen to anything I talk about, data, not drama. I don't care about the stories that come with it. I care about the data I get from it, right? So stories are interesting and fun, but they're always going to stack up, right? I want to know the data. How many of those 25 people said they're interested in selling, maybe interested, or told me to jump off a cliff, right? Because even jumping off a cliff means I'm going to call them back in 2 weeks, right? It's all part of it. So, guys, anybody in here have any questions? You want to write anything for us? Thanks for joining us. If you're watching this live, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out for a second. Jump in here, and Ashley's got over there. If you want to jump and go live and ask some questions, we can bring you in and do that. If you're watching this as a replay, please leave some questions and comments below so we can come back and try to answer you guys. We're going to hang out here for another like 5 or 8 minutes. And Cam, anything specific that you feel that you want to share with the group, just because people are going to be watching this later? What do you have as recommendations for where you have come from to where you're at, where you're going? Can you share like what you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. So one small tip, it's small, but it's huge in the same fashion, is to just go ahead and fail forward. I've always liked that term, fail forward, right? So what that means is, like Shawn said, set a small little goal, whatever that is, right? Maybe it's to drive for dollars for 1 hour this week. Maybe it's that small, right? Whatever it is, and you're not comfortable doing it, go do it. You might get something, you might not. It's a consistency thing. This whole real estate investing, it's just consistency. So you're gonna have to go at it for the long haul. But appointment for practice, go do it. Go screw it up. Go say the wrong thing. Go say the $10,000 question the wrong way. Go do it all. Go fail forward, because every time you take one step forward, even if you fail, you learn something, right? So you got some education. And that's why I went on all those appointments, talked to all those sellers, had no idea what I was doing, just kept listening to the podcast, talking to people like Shawn, talking to people at Trig, and just telling them what I did and how I screwed up. And they're like, oh, yeah, I did that before. Why don't you try this? You know what I'm saying? Just fail forward, take those small steps. But if you just sit and do that analysis paralysis and don't do anything, then you're not going anywhere. I mean, it's that simple. You got to take the step. And it can be very small, but small steps lead to, big leaps if you want to.
Awesome. We got a question in here. It's what are your thoughts on using bird dogs? My question for who that user is do you understand what a bird dog is? Do you understand how to find a deal? Because I have people ask me this a lot of, what do you think about using other people to go find deals? And my question first is, do you know what a deal is, right? If those people are going to bring you a lead, do you know what, how, when to show whether it's a lead or not? I think it's great to have people go out and do that, right? I think it's great to have people go out and try to find things based on a set criteria. right? Like it's got to look a certain way. It's got to be in a certain area. It's got to match up with these specific things, i.e., is the grass tall? Is there junk in the yard? Is the roof got a tarp on it? Does the electrical box have a red tag hanging from it? Like all these little tiny things that make it fit. Yes, it might be a lead, right? Then how long does that go, right? Because those people are only going to do that if they're making money. And if you don't know how to evaluate a deal and or save them time to evaluate and get a deal to you, you're going to burn through people left and right, right? Like they don't get paid, they're not going to stay. So my question to you is do you know how to evaluate a deal? And if that's yes, then what's your structure to get the deal to you, i.e. a CRM system or something of tracking that they can enter the lead in, say where it came from, all the information goes in one spot, and you can quickly identify it and help them. Hey, I got this. Okay, great. Here's what I need. Right? Or here's what you need to go get for that in order to be a deal. So I think it's great to have a bird dog understanding what they're going to do and what their time value is to you. Because in essence, what you're saying is, hey, I need you to go spend your time, your energy, your gas to go drive around and find me properties. How do I help shorten that curve? Either pay you a small fee now and then a portion of the sale later, or a large fee now and you get nothing later. That's all part of marketing. Right? Like that, what you're doing is marketing with bird dogs. You're only going to get so much free stuff, right? If anything, you guys in the beginning need to learn. I know everybody wants to get everything for free, but as I've been in this game longer, I'm actually looking to pay more for a lead that's qualified. I don't want free leads, right? Because most of the time they're garbage, right? So I want a vetted lead to come to me that fits these criteria in order to say, yes, it's a deal and I'm ready to sign the line on it, right? So bird dogs are great. My question to that person is like, do you understand how to evaluate a deal in order to help them and or pay them eventually on that deal? That's a great question.
I think there's also maybe two categories of bird dogs, I would say. Like there's the non-investor aspiring bird dog, right? So your mailman, your trash man, your pizza delivery man. If you have a relationship with somebody like that, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever it is, and they deliver pizzas, right? For example. So, I mean, that's a different relationship still, like Shawn's saying, or either way, I'm going to have the conversation with both of them, or the other person who's the aspiring real estate investor, right? Who's just trying to get going. But the best way to get going is to find somebody who's going and somebody who will teach you and bring you up when you add value, when you bring value to them, right? So either way, I'm going to have that conversation with either one of them to explain what I want, not just bring me a crappy house. They're just going to start throwing you stuff, and you're going to be spinning your wheels, on things that aren't viable in the end. So, for example, I live in Williamsburg, right? So here's a few neighborhoods in Williamsburg that I'm interested in, right? Here's a couple neighborhoods I'm not interested in. So if you're taking pizzas over here, don't even bother. And then, as an aspiring real estate investor, let's talk about, do you understand what you're looking for? I'm not going to repeat what Shawn just said, the things you're looking for in the house, right? That's how we find them. And then maybe, you can bring a lead to us and we can kind of talk through and work through together, right? And help you out. So I guess you'd have the same conversation, but maybe those two people, a little bit different roles, bird dog. But yeah, I think they're great too, as long as they know what they're looking for. Yep, that's key. Otherwise, everybody's wasting their time.
Yep. What you don't want to have is the blind leading the blind, right? You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're looking for to give that person direction. Because otherwise you're wasting each other's time. So be defined in what you're looking for from a bird dog. Have a system and procedure for getting that to you in an organized fashion so that you guys can go over it at the end of the week, right? Hey, you brought me 10 leads. Of that, I've called 10. I got a hold of 4, and we got an appointment on 1, right? So next week, let's set a new goal. Now get me 20. Now, if I do the same KPI, I should have 2, right? So just higher and higher with your number. Now that depends on your talk, right? How to talk to sellers, how to know what's going on in the property, all that kind of stuff is what's going to eventually get you your deals. But I think that's great. I think using bird dogs is great, but understand what you're doing. Don't just say, bring me a deal and not have any relevance behind it. So we're right here, almost at 30-minute mark, guys. Try to keep these things at 30 minutes for you. try to do these live. And of course, this video will stay up for you guys and come back and write comments, hopefully, and interact with us. We're on a bunch of different platforms. I think we're at Wholesaling Out of the Box. We're at Virginia Wholesale Real Estate. So I think we have a YouTube page we're going to have set up for you guys where you can go back and watch some of these videos again. And we'll have more people come on, right? Cam works with us. We'll have other people from other industry or in the industry, but other places talking about what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, and then their expertise, right? So guys, we're always here to help you. Appreciate you sticking around or watching. If you watch the replay on us, Cam, thanks for taking the time to jump in here with us today. I appreciate it. Guys, if you're interested in checking anything out on us, wholesalingoutofthebox.com. I'm always reachable. You can probably hit Cam, make him reachable on Facebook. We're always here to help you guys, right? So we look forward to helping you. Look forward to watching you do that first deal. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Later.